Hi, it's John Glynn, and in this session today we're going to be looking at one of the other features of layers. We're going to have the layers palette open, which is the one on the right hand side here with your thumbnail and the word background in it. I also have got history open because if I make any mistakes or want to undo anything, it's sometimes easier to use the history option here under the panel than to do undo, not undo all the time. What we're going to do here is just, I'm not even going to bother creating a duplicate because I'm just going through the process of what you can do here. But if you're going to work on an actual picture, it might be worth doing a duplicate of your original. In this version we can just go into the options under this sort of blue and white circle. In some versions of Photoshop Elements it's a black and white circle. This is version 20 of Photoshop Elements, and I'm just using a normal PC and mouse. What I'm going to look at here is pattern, and when I click on the pattern option in the layers panel, and this option here which is the able to, I'll just go over the name of it actually and you'll see it, create a new fill or adjustment layer, and I'll click on pattern, it will automatically create a new layer, and your background is always separate to your layers. If you turn off the, I'll have to say OK to any pattern, if you got a little magic eye, you can turn that off. Your original picture is here anyway, so I can turn on the pattern again. If I don't like that pattern, you do have choices of other patterns that you can choose from. So we can double click the icon where the pattern is, and then choose a different pattern and scale. So we can change the scale of it. As I zoom in, you'll see the change of scale. Okay. We can say cancel that. I can go in and just do, if I go back up into this option here, pattern, get new patterns each time. Each layer will create a new pattern. I can jump into the actual options of the patterns, and as you'll see I've got artist surfaces, but there is a default setting which looks like this, which you'll have initially. If you go down you'll find grayscale papers and patterns and lock patterns. They're quite effective. So you can have the lock pattern, click on lock. Initially it's millions of little pictures of locks, but you can again say OK to that and scale, and then if I up the scale you'll see a pattern of stones and rocks. Okay, and as we zoom in they get bigger and bigger. I could say OK. So now I've got two sets of patterns that I've got, and you can create more patterns if you wish. If you go back to the very first one, double click it, you can click on here and change it. So let's turn off the top one. I'll just say OK and turn off the top one because it's blocking the bottom one from working. So you can go back and continually change the patterns as often as you like. Okay, so there's nothing to stop you from changing the pattern. Okay, I'll go into surfaces again, and I'll choose a surface here, and I'll zoom in on that surface. Now at the moment of course you can see that you can't see the picture below, so you're going to have to do something with these layers, and in the top here we've got the word normal, and use your blending modes. So set the blending option. So blending means that this layer will have an impact on the picture below it. So if I said overlay, we are now getting a picture below it and the pattern coming through as well. And each time I change the blending option, you'll get a different sort of feel to the picture. So it's just a matter of working your way through them, seeing what they do. Some will have a bigger impact than others. So it's a matter of trying them out and seeing if you like the pattern with the picture and the way it is impacting the two together. Okay, you might like the effect, you may not. You have an opacity option as well, which you can also dial down or dial up as you see fit. And now of course, because I've got this one working, I can turn that off. There's my original picture. I can turn on the one above and do the same again. So I've got these, let's just go to it, make sure it's active. I have to make sure it's an active layer. And then again I can do overlay. So I get some weird patterns. That's maybe a bit too strange with looks over the top, but you can get an idea of the sort of effect you can create. I'm not too sure that I like that effect particularly, so I could go into this one, change it. Let's have a look and see, have a look at other rock patterns. There's, let's see what those ones like. Maybe not. Some of them may look quite effective, so maybe try that one. Say OK, and again change the blending mode, and now you can see that you get a pattern coming through, some kind of strange structures that are coming into your picture, which are creating an interesting effect, possibly breaking the picture up. So it's a matter of trying them out and just seeing what the effect will be like that you happen to see. Okay. The other thing to remember is that these are actually masks. On the right hand side here I've got a mask, so you've got this weird effect, but if you've got your paintbrush, which is active in your toolbox, and black and white paint, make sure that this mask is active, so it must have a blue box around it, must be active, and then put my brush over the top of my picture. I must have black paint though. As I go through it, you can see that I'm making a hole in that mask, and the image below is the original picture. So I can start to work on having parts of the picture with an effect and another part of the picture without the effect. And of course I can introduce the other effect, and that's now just impacting, well, it's impacting all of the picture of course, but it has a bigger impact maybe on the bits that I've worked on with the bit above. So it's a matter of trying these things out and just seeing how they relate to one another when you have the original photo. This one has no hole cut in the mask because it's pure white, but again I can do the same with this one as well. And just do parts of the picture maybe with the effect and other parts without the effect. So it's a matter of trying them out and just seeing how you get on with using these blending modes and how they interact with the picture below. Taking out, using the mask and taking out or making holes in parts of the mask, you can always undo that by swapping over from black to white. It'll be white foreground to black, and that will let you fill in again. So you can replace the parts that you've cut out if you wish. You can do this as often as you like. So you can paint and repaint the effect into the picture. If it's black on the surface, it will remove the effect. White will put the effect back in. Oops, I'm not changing the colour. All I want to do is just make it white and black. So if it's white, it fills in. Okay, so it's a matter of trying it out, and you may find that you happen to think the effect works. I think it's one of these things you just have to try and practice and just see whether you'd ever use any of these pattern options. Okay, there's lots and lots of them, and certainly some of them may work pretty well with landscape photographs in particular. These aren't new. This idea isn't new. It's been tried and tested by people like Man Ray. Man Ray did a lot of this sort of darkroom effects with using textures and pictures underneath the texture. So this isn't unusual. It's just another. It's just something that you can try out yourself more easily with modern photography than you could do with a darkroom. But the same basic principles apply. So have a look through what Man Ray had done, and other artists from the 1920s as well, with their darkroom techniques. And the same basic principles apply with Photoshop. You're just mixing and matching textures with photographs and trying to see if they help in any way. And it's certainly worth giving it a go. You may find that actually, if you were to print the picture for birthday cards, Christmas cards, etc., it will work really well. Okay, thank you for watching.